Welcome back. Today's explainer is diving straight into what we're calling the compliance storm. We're going to navigate the massive, completely overlapping challenges of the RBI rules and the DPDPA that are just bearing down on India's banking sector right now. It's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. Okay, let's dive into this. 3. 3 is the sheer weight of the challenge that banking compliance officers are suddenly facing. This isn't just one new rule to review or some minor update to an existing policy. Banks are currently staring down the barrel of a massive three-way compliance mandate. And the real pressure here, it's how these three distinct areas are intersecting all at once. It's creating this insanely complex web of requirements that impacts every single level of a financial institution. So let's slowly and deliberately unpack what those three overlapping mandates actually are. First, we've got the Reserve Bank of India's brand new AI guidelines. Second, the RBI's data governance guidelines. And third, the overarching DPDPA Act. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act, along with all its specific rules. Now, here's the kicker, the part that makes this a true crisis. The RBI dropped both the AI guidelines and the data governance guidelines within just the last month. Think about that for a second. In the span of roughly 30 days, this incredibly heavy bureaucratic burden has been dropped squarely onto banks that were already scrambling just to figure out their DPDPA compliance. It's literally a massive triple threat of regulatory responsibility. Now, you might be wondering, hey, sure, it's a lot of paperwork, but banks deal with regulations every single day, right? Well, actually, scratch that. This is not just a theoretical regulatory exercise anymore. The recent Bank of Baroda data breach, where agents allegedly manipulated customer details just to artificially boost mobile app registrations, is the absolute catalyst here. It ignited an immediate, real-world crisis across the entire sector. When a major institution experiences a high-profile breach of that nature, those abstract rules on paper suddenly become very, very real. It's a stark, unavoidable reminder of exactly why these three regulations are being enforced so aggressively right now. That specific breach, it literally ignited an absolute state of urgency within the banking sector. The luxury of taking a let's wait and see approach is completely out the window. This breach means banks are officially out of time. They have to act right now to figure out their three-way compliance strategy. Boardrooms and compliance teams are scrambling, and honestly, they should be because the stakes are no longer just about avoiding some regulatory fine. We're talking about protecting fundamental operational integrity and maintaining the trust of millions of customers in a highly scrutinized environment. But here's where the logistical nightmare really kicks in. You can't just flip a switch and instantly achieve compliance. There's a very strict order of operations. Before a bank can even hope to achieve full compliance at Step 3, they are required to urgently conduct internal awareness programs on all three of these rules: the AI guidelines, data governance, and the DPDPA. Why? Well, because you literally have to educate your stakeholders just to be able to develop the action plan in Step 2. You can't plan for a rule your team doesn't fully understand yet. So, what does this all mean? We've got an incredibly tight timeline, a massive three-pronged regulatory burden, and this absolute prerequisite to educate an entire workforce before any real action can even begin. Which leads us to the ultimate question for today's explainer. How do banks actually survive this three-way compliance? With so much agitation and so many overlapping rules, what is the clear, structured path out of all this chaos? So the crucial point is, the Foundation of Data Protection Professionals in India, or FDPPI, recognized this exact urgent need. They saw this storm brewing, they saw the panic setting in after the recent breach, and they stepped up to develop a definitive roadmap for banks. They realized pretty quickly that banks didn't just need more warnings, they desperately needed actionable, structured solutions that address the RBI and DPDPA mandates simultaneously. Now, what's really interesting about this is how FDPPI actually structured their solution. I know, it looks a bit like alphabet soup at first glance, but every single one of these bullets is a vital piece of the puzzle. They didn't just write one massive, unreadable manual. They broke the whole thing down into 4 distinct, interlocking frameworks: DGPSI Banks, AGSI, a dedicated data governance framework, and DGPSI Bank Branch. Let's methodically unpack each one of these so you can see exactly how they solve this massive three-way challenge. All right, first up, DGPSI Banks. Let's completely de-jargon this for a second. This is the core foundation. It stands for the Data Governance and Protection Standard of India, and it's specifically tailored for banks. This framework is designed to directly handle the overarching requirements of the DPDPA Act within banking institutions. Think of it as the sturdy base of the pyramid. If a bank wants to ensure they're handling personal data legally under the new National Act, this is the foundational roadmap they absolutely have to follow. Next, we've got AIGSI, or the Artificial Intelligence Governance Standard of India. Remember those RBI AI guidelines that just dropped in the last month? Well, this is the answer to them. AIGSI is explicitly designed to tackle those new AI rules, acting as a really crucial specialized supplement to that main DGPSI Banks framework we just looked at. It seamlessly integrates the new AI compliance requirements directly into the broader data protection strategy. And to really complete the triad, FDPPI developed a specific data governance framework. Just like the AI standard, this acts as another critical supplement to the main DGPSI Banks foundation. This framework directly answers the RBI's new data governance guidelines. So if you look at the whole architecture here, you've got the main framework for the DPDPA, and then two specialized plugins handling the RBI's AI and data governance rules. It neatly and comprehensively completes the entire three-way compliance triad. But you know, FDPII recognized one more massive logistical issue: the sheer physical scale of Indian banks. I mean, you might have a totally perfect compliance strategy at headquarters, but what about the thousands of branches spread all across the country? That's where DGPSI Bank Branch comes in. This is a special variation that scales the compliance efforts all the way down to the branch level. It adapts the rules so that local branch managers and staff can actually implement them on the ground. It solves a huge operational headache for widespread banking networks. Let's move to and see how this builds into practical action, because having a framework on paper is one thing. As we learned earlier, step one of actual compliance is awareness. You have to train your people. So FDPI is directly translating all of these theoretical frameworks into practical, actionable training programs. They're taking all those complex guidelines and turning them into specialized curriculums designed to get banking professionals up to speed immediately. So, incorporating all those frameworks we just covered, FDPPI is rolling out two very distinct training paths. On one side, you have the Certified DPPA Champion for the Bank Branch, or CDC Bank Branch, and on the other side, you have the Data Governance and Protection in Banks program. By keeping these separate, banking professionals, branch managers, and IT teams can figure out exactly which program fits their specific role. If you're operating at the local level, managing branch data day-to-day, the Champion program is absolutely for you. But if you're handling broader institutional data strategy and those high-level RBI guidelines, the Data Governance program is the perfect fit. Now, if you're stressing about the time commitment while this compliance clock is actively ticking down, listen to this. 2. FDPI has prioritized absolute efficiency here. Both the CDC Bank Branch program and the Data Governance program are structured strictly as 2-day intensives. They know banks cannot afford to send their staff away for weeks of training right now, so they've distilled the massive 3-way compliance burden down into 2 highly focused, highly efficient days of learning. Which brings us to our final takeaway. The path out of this compliance storm has officially been mapped. Interested banks can reach out directly to FDPI and Naavi to get their teams enrolled and start checking off those absolutely critical compliance boxes. We've seen the overlapping rules, we've seen the urgency caused by recent breaches, and we've now seen the structured frameworks designed to actually fix it. So I'll leave you with this question. The frameworks are built, the training is set. Is your bank ready to act before the next breach? Thanks so much for tuning in to this explainer, and keep learning.